What is going on, everybody? It is DylanLasagna here. Welcome to episode number 11 of DylanLasagna Live. And there's a lot to talk about. So I'm going to get straight into it. And here we go. But first, I actually want to get this out of the way because I actually just finished recording a couple of videos for my coverage of the Splatoon 2 final Splatfest. However, I just want to note that you're not going to see it until after the Splatfest is done with. So there's going to be a little warning that there's going to be a warning at the beginning of each video. Yes, there are videos instead of one single video. So there's pretty much going to be a lot, like, who knows, there could be a lot of videos. There's going to be a lot of videos for the Splatfest that's happening right now. So I'm doing the Splatoon 2 Splatfest currently. So expect some videos regarding that. And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to get out of the way. But do expect like a pre-recording of the Splatfests. But that's that. But right now, what we're going to be doing right now is talking about some wrestling. That's what today's episode is all about, wrestling. Because there was a lot that happened over the weekend with All Elite Wrestling and WWE. So we're going to be talking about Fight for the Fallen, and we're going to be talking about Fight for the Fallen, Extreme Rules, Monday Night Raw, and Smackdown Live. And there's definitely a lot to talk about. So let's start with Fight for the Fallen, because that happened on Saturday, and I gotta say, all three AEW pay-per-views that happened, this was the worst one. I mean, it was still an okay show, but in my opinion, this was the worst outing that they had, like, so far. Of course, the best one was obviously Double or Nothing, but Fight for the Fallen was the worst one that they had. So let's get into like some of my highlights. I was gonna cover every match, but I was looking through my show notes, and I'm just like, it doesn't really look worth like going into, because it's just like I didn't really find anything excited about almost half of those matches. So here we go. Let's go get right into this Fight for the Fallen recap reactions from me, your boy, DylanLasagna. So during the pre-show, we got the Librarian, Peter Avalon, who is accompanied by the Librarian, Leva Bates, also known, if you know, during her time during NXT, Blue Pants, versus this person known as Sunny Kiss, who was accompanied by the cheerleaders of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they had a pretty good match. Well, it was actually pretty decent. It wasn't good. It wasn't great. It was just decent. And then Sunny Kiss pulled off a lot of like all these like somersaults and all these like split. His offense is mostly based around split-legged moves, and it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. And then some other things that I found notable were the Librarian gimmicks of both Bates and Avalon. They were like getting that kind of heat, like the actual heel heat you're supposed to get. So pretty much like it's not like Baron Corbin's heat, where it's like, oh, we really want this guy to get off our TV screen. This guy legitimately sucks. No, it's like, if they can make that gimmick work, and because they were chanting "reading sucks," and they were telling the crowd to be quiet, it's like they can make it work, and it's like they already have a gimmick, and if they go to TV and they try to make it work, it can work. But Sunny Kiss got the win. It wasn't that memorable of a match, but it was a good win. Then we got Britt Baker teaming up with Riho going up against Soho Nakajima and Bea Priestley. A lot of people were crapping on Britt Baker, like a lot, because like especially when she couldn't like find her tag team partner when she's trying to make the tag. But let's contribute that to a concussion she suffered during the match. Like early on, she suffered a concussion and she decided to fight through it the whole way through. And that match was like around 15 minutes. So she's fighting through a concussion. Like you could clearly tell she had one because she's just holding her head throughout the majority of it. Like, and even despite that, she was pulling off some decent moves, although a lot of it not cleanly, but she was trying to get through it. And then overall, the match itself was not that great itself. A lot of moves were hit uncleanly, pretty sloppy, and it was just not a clean match. It was not a clean match. And then another blunder that happened for some odd reason was the closed captions on the screen. And when I was watching the replay, because I couldn't watch it when it was live, it's like I didn't press the closed caption buttons on when I was watching it. It's like, this surely is a mistake on my part. But no, this happened to everybody when I was reading Twitter. It's like, shoot, that's insane. But hopefully they don't have any more screw-ups like that moving forward. So the team of Shoko Nakajima and Bea Priestley got the win. And then afterwards, Bea and Britt Baker brawled afterwards, but they were separated. I think they're trying to lean towards a feud with Britt Baker and Bea Priestley for the women's division. And that was that. Your opening match for the main card consisted of Darby Allin, Jimmy Havoc, and Joey Janela going up against MJF, Shawn Spears, and Sammy Guevara. Again, my main man right now in AEW is MJF. I mean, even though he didn't get mic time, he was like showboating to the crowd. He was trying to make him hate him so bad. It's like, that's how you're supposed to get heel heat right there. And I liked how the heels were like clearly not getting along with each other. It was golden, especially MJF and Shawn Spears after what happened at Fyter Fest with MJF being Cody's friend and all. And it was just great. And then an ongoing theme throughout the night was all the middle fingers, which was started by Jimmy Havoc, and it was getting kind of old fast because especially during this match there was like so many middle fingers that were just being thrown around. It's like, okay, Jimmy Havoc threw a middle finger. Okay, I see where this is going. I see, that's nice and all, but then they kept doing it. Like Jimmy Havoc did it, Joey Janela did it, MJF did it, Sammy Guevara did it. It's like the only people that didn't do it was Darby Allin and Shawn's. No, did Shawn Spears do it? I think he did. But it got very repetitive, and it's like, how are they gonna like be able to do that once they get on TV? It's like they might be able to do it, but they're gonna have to censor it in some way. But either censor it or I don't know how they do it. But otherwise, it was just very repetitive. Sammy Guevara had a really nice moment where he took out the entire babyface team in like a nice sequence where he hit a suicide dive on Jimmy Havoc, then an over-the-top rope corkscrew moonsault onto Joey Janela, then he hit like this, I think it was called a Spanish fly onto Darby Allin, but he only got a 2 count. But that was pretty cool. And then the end of the match came when Shawn Spears used like a Death Valley driver, and he got the win, even though despite the fact that the other babyfaces tried to break up the pin, but they were too late. So hopefully They can get like a bunch of singles matches like moving forward because they have a lot of potential. They seriously have a lot. Like all 6 men have a lot of potential. I know Shawn Spears is facing Cody at All Out, but the other guys, like, I know they can wrestle. It's like we've seen like 2 matches with them in. I think Guevara had a singles match in the Double or Nothing pre-show, and he can wrestle. He can wrestle. MJF can wrestle. Like all those guys can wrestle. So maybe we can get some singles feuds from them in the future, and that should be good. Next, we had Brandy Rhodes versus Allie. The only thing I can say about this match was like how confusing it was when they made a video package making Brandy hella sympathetic. It's like she had all these self-doubts of whether or not she could be successful as a professional wrestler, because I think during the match, Alex Marvez, one of the commentators, mentioned how Brandy has only been wrestling for 3 years. I think that was the time like she started like wrestling after she left WWE, when she was Eden Stills. Yeah, that stupid name. But anyway, yeah, she's only been wrestling for a small amount of time, and yeah, they made this video package for her, but like, and everyone like she's trying to make everyone think she's a babyface, but then during the match, like she played a heel and she brought out Awesome Kong. And I was like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? I mean, I get like AEW is trying to have this like trying to do away with the heel face dynamic, or they're trying to like make the lines unclear of sort, but you can only go so far with it, and I think this was another case of that. It's just unusual, just very unusual. During the match itself, it was I didn't like it at all, because Brandy is like she couldn't hit or sell moves cleanly, and Allie was being so stupid because like Awesome Kong was there at ringside, and then every time Allie was on offense, she just kept looking at Awesome Kong, even though she did nothing. She did nothing. Yeah, they brought out the dong, and she was doing like almost nothing until near the end of the match, when she cost Allie like the win. Like she distracted the referee, and then Brandy hit the bionic spear, which was a very sloppy one. Like it's worse than Roman Reigns' spear, and she got the win. But they assaulted Allie after the match, which brought out Aja Kong, and they had a stare down, and who knows, like maybe we'll get a match between the two at All Out. I mean, that should be very exciting. There's a triple threat tag team match where the winner would advance to compete against the best friends Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta at All Out for a first round bye in the AEW World Tag Team Title Tournament. I don't know. I didn't find this match like that interesting, because like, what's there to be aside from the facing the best friends for a chance at a first round bye? Why should I be invested in any of these teams? I mean, I do like Luchasaurus. I think he's a really good wrestler, and he makes a good tag team with Jungle Boy, but it's like, why should I care about the other teams? But it's like really disinteresting. So the Dark Order hit a fatality. Yeah, that's it. That's literally their finishing maneuver. Like the name of their finishing maneuver. A fatality. So they hit the fatality on Jungle Boy to win. Then we got Adam Page versus Kip Sabian. This match, it was boring. It was pretty boring matches. It was a pretty boring match, and I kind of feel bad for Adam Page, because it's like he came out of nowhere with like the pre-show like victory, and then it's like now you get to fight for the Fallen, and it's like there is like a mixed feeling of whether or not he's world champion material, like right now. To be honest, after I watched this match with Kip Sabian, I don't have that feeling right now. I just don't. He kind of reminds me of Seth Rollins. He's a guy that people would cheer for, like, briefly, but after, like, you get some big success, like, in this case, Adam Page with the pre-show victory at Double or Nothing, so he could face Chris Jericho for the world title, then it's like, it's a 50-50 streak. So he beat Kip Sabian in a pretty boring match. Chris Jericho, disguised as one of the members of the Dark Order, attacked Page and bloodied him with the Judas effect. And then people were chanting "Thank you, Jericho," which didn't help matters for Page at all. when AEW was trying to get him over as a world champion, like a world champion contender. But yeah, it didn't really help. It didn't really help. I appreciate you finding me on Switch. However, I don't play it like I do play a little bit of NBA 2K19 though, like, but I'm pretty much ass garbage. I'm ass at it. All right, but keep sticking around for the show, boss, while, and see if your friends or like other buddies want to watch too. All right, next we got Lucha Bros versus Frank Kazarian, Scorpio Sky of SoCal Uncensored. I don't know. It was, again, this is another case of why should I care for these characters? It's like, we know SCU is like runs by this gimmick, this is the worst town in history or whatever it SCU does. But that's pretty much all they do. And then the Lucha Bros, not many people know them outside of Mexico. Or I don't know. That's the problem. I don't even know who the Lucha Bros are. That's the problem. It's like, they had a nice match. It's like, with SCU, it's like, why should I care about the Lucha Bros? Why should I care about them challenging the Young Bucks in a ladder match? Yeah, they won the match with SCU, but why does it matter if they challenge the Young Bucks to a ladder match? Because they still want to prove a point to the Young Bucks that they want to finally beat them. I guess. But yeah, I guess that's now official that the Young Bucks are gonna fight the Lucha Bros at All Out for the Lucha Bros AAA tag team titles. Kenny Omega and then CIMA. That was the match before the main event. I didn't know how long this pay-per-view was until I saw like the length. I think it was like 3-4 hours. I think it was like a WWE pay-per-view levels at this point. And I can clearly tell the crowd was pretty tired, and it was hot in Jacksonville. They were like in the amphitheater of the Jaguar Stadium, so that didn't help matters. And they also mentioned that they don't have air conditioning, so that's not good. That's not good. But anyway, they did their best to get engaged in this match. They did wake up like halfway through it, especially after the slow start. But Kenny Omega finally got a win, like with the one-winged angel on CIMA. All right. I'll see you around, boss. While. All right. Next up, we got Chris Jericho's open mic. Chris Jericho still wanted his thank you from AEW, not from the fans, especially from Jackoffville. Yeah, he called them Jackoffville. When he mentioned Hangman Adam Page, I couldn't tell if the crowd was cheering or they were just dead silent because again, they're tired. They're tired from the long ass show. He also mentioned that if he loses to Adam Page, he doesn't know where to go next with his career. He didn't say retire, obviously. He just doesn't know what's next for Chris Jericho. Hence is the reason why he has to win it all out. And he attacked Page to make a point to not only trust Jericho, but to also prove a point that if it wasn't him, all Elite Wrestling would not exist. And he wanted to expose Page as his bitch. Which brought out Hangman to attack Jericho. And then they brawled, and then everyone had to separate them. And then there was a funny moment when Jericho was trying to leave. Some fan was like this. Some fan like ringside was going like this to him. And then Jericho kicked, he didn't kick him in the face. He was kicking him as if he was responding to the challenge. It was funny as hell. But anyway, that was Jericho's open mic. Yeah, that was pretty much it. Then we had the main event, the Young Bucks versus the Brotherhood, Cody Rhodes and Dustin. There was a little tidbit in the video package where Dustin Rhodes said something about beating the Shield in 2013, being the first ones to beat the Shield 2013, and it got censored. It got freaking censored. It was one of the funniest things I noticed, and it was wow. Wow. And then in a pre-show interview, it was he mentioned that the Young Bucks offense was mostly based around flippy doos, and that was pretty much their West Coast offense, which is true. I only saw the Young Bucks at Double or Nothing, and they were doing a lot of flips. And pretty much the entire build around this was a friendly a competition, but the Young Bucks were mocking Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes' moment from the post-match moment where it was I don't need a partner, I need my older brother moment at Double or Nothing. But this match was fun. The crowd was pretty much tired, and yeah, they were pretty much tired, but they tried to stay engaged with it. The Young Bucks tried to hit they hit the crossroads, but they kicked out. Cody Rhodes kicked out, and then they hit the Meltzer driver, which finally netted them the win. So after the match, they cut a promo. How they mentioned they made fun of them in the spirit of competition. This is okay, that was pretty much the whole point of the show. The spirit of competition. More on that later. More on that briefly. They mentioned that they never watched the other promotions. Oh, okay, now we're taking shots now. When they were in action. And I thought they were going to finish, but they were short on time, and they even mentioned that they were short on time because they were interrupted by the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Shad Khan, and then along with Kenny Omega, Brandy, and others with a big fat check that was going to be donated to victims of gun violence, which the check amounted to $150,000 or something. Some of which was donated from Omega, the Rhodes, and I don't know who else. And then I just wish they allowed the Young Bucks to at least finish their promo, or I think the Young Bucks should have improv'd it a little bit so they can get their point. Or when they came out, when everyone was there, Cody Rhodes should have been I guess it's that time of the show, but first I'm gonna let the Young Bucks finish their thing. I think that's what they should have done. Then anyway, after they all came out, Cody Rhodes then cut a promo saying how this pay-per-view was for victims of gun violence. Hence, that's why the Young Bucks said this match was for in the spirit of competition. Then that the check was authentic. How fake was that gonna be? He then closed out the show with some interesting words. You can't counter program with what AEW is doing. I mean, after 3 shows, I'm not sure if you're allowed to say that. I mean, you're not even on TV yet, and it's like, I know WWE is been producing a lot of shitty content, but it's like, it's a little too it's actually very early to say that. I mean, you have potential, but it's like, it's too early. It's too early. I'm sorry. He also wanted to know if people were coming with him when AEW hits TNT in the fall, and then people were cheering. And then Kenny Omega officially closed out the show by simply saying thank you to everyone. And that was the end of the show. Overall, the show was good. I Fight for the Fallen was a good pay-per-view, but certainly the worst one that there was. And I attribute that to the show being centered around like the victims of gun violence, like how they're gonna dedicate it to the victims of gun violence, and it was just for a good cause. And I feel like it was like, again, a house show for a good cause. And it's not, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, of course. I support what they're doing with this. But I think it was a house show a little too long. I think the matches the matches went on like way too long. Because the crowd, as you could tell, like audibly, they were just like dead tired by like throughout the most of the third act of the card. In regards, my biggest complaint about Fight for the Fallen was the commentary. The commentary is still bad. Like Alex Marvez is decent on commentary. It's like, but it's like he's not at like Jim Ross, like prime Jim Ross commentary. No one will ever be, or like, but he has like some potential. And then I didn't really hear much of Excalibur. It's like, alright, it was hard to tell what Excalibur was doing. It's like, was he trying to like analyze the wrestlers, or try to be play-by-play? It's like, I don't even know what Excalibur was doing. And Jim Ross, you can tell he's past his prime. I think Jim Ross is hurting the commentary team. It's like, here and there he'll have like a good like line, like he'll react to something really well, but most of the show he didn't have it at all. He didn't have it at Fyter Fest either. It's like Jim Ross at both Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen, he didn't do very well. If there was only a 2-man commentary team when TNT airs in the fall, or when AEW airs on TNT in I think Cody said October, I'd have to pick Alex Marvez and Excalibur, because like at least Alex Marvez tries to be excited. Sure, it's like it's a little forced, and he can work on like being a little genuinely excited, but at least he tries to bring a little bit of energy. And I think Jim Ross reacts a little too late to the action now. And of course, age plays a role in your commentary, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I think Marvez would be better suited to be the lead, and Jim Ross would be like his mentor, like in regards to being a wrestling commentator. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Like how if that could work. All right. Some other things that I liked about Fight for the Fallen was the time limits. I think it gives like an additional amount of pressure for the competitors. Excuse me. An additional amount of pressure for the wrestlers to try to get the win. Because it also creates like this sort of synergy of like, oh, who's gonna win the match, or who's gonna like try to one up the other wrestler. So it brings like a different energy, like near the end of the match. And I think they need to cut off like the middle fingers, not literally, but like significantly lessen the amount of middle fingers that they're doing, because it gets old really fast, and it's just it gets uncool if you do it like so many times. But again, overall, it was a good show. Certainly not the best one, but it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable. So how could WWE top that the next night? Well, let's finally talk about it with my Extreme Rules reactions, my Extreme Rules thoughts. Okay, Extreme Rules. I'm not going to talk about every match because, again, there are some things I liked and some things I just didn't care for. The Undertaker and Roman Reigns versus Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre. The one thing that already bothered me at the start of this show was how this was a no holds barred like match, and yet, this was a no holds barred tag team match, and yet, people like had to tag each other in. How does that make sense? You don't see that in freaking the WWE 2K games, nor did you see that in tag team, like, no DQ tag team matches in the past. So how does this make sense? What the hell is WWE doing with this freaking logic? Oh no, wait, I forgot. Fuck logic. But anyway, aside from that stupid lack of logic, I thought this was a better match than I expected. Like, I thought this match was gonna be pretty shitty, but this match was actually good. Undertaker more than made up for the shitter from stupid Slowdown. He was like all over the place. He hit moves much cleaner. He brought this different kind of energy that I haven't seen in like ages. He was just a lot faster in this match. It's like Shane even oversold like moves for the Undertaker, and McIntyre was just he helped the Undertaker keep up, and the Undertaker responded. So I guess the opponent matters for the Undertaker, and it really showed. And then I think Roman Reigns and McIntyre and Shane, like, even though the feud is technically over now, they did their best work to close out the feud. And there was this final shot where the Undertaker was about to hit the tombstone. He did the throat slash, and it was like Drew McIntyre was just in the background trying to be. He was like a sexual predator. He was like about to hit the Claymore kick, but then Roman Reigns came out of nowhere, hit the spear. Undertaker was like in disbelief. It was like Roman was about to be like, "Bruh, you were about to get killed, man, and I saved your ass." And then Undertaker finally hit the tombstone on Shane. 1, 2, 3. Undertaker and Roman, the Graveyard Dogs, win the match. It was a pretty fun match. It had like some nice moments. Again, I disagree with how they're supposed to tag in one another, but it was an overall fun match. And we found out a couple days later that the Shane old crap push is not over yet, but more on that with my SmackDown reactions. The SmackDown Tag Team Champions Daniel Bryan and Rowan went up against the New Day and Heavy Machinery. I like this match specifically because of Otis. like Otis was the clear star of this match. It was like every time Otis is in the ring, you could tell it's like you could tell he has like so much charisma. He's like he brings it every time he steps in the ring. I love the spot where he teased the suicide dive onto everyone, and then he just like stopped and then just like went out of the ring, and then he hit a crossbody off the ring apron. It's just like, oh man, you teased me so hard. But then it was just really fun. It was like I'm starting to like heavy machinery, like slowly but surely. I just wish they maybe if I watch NXT like highlights a little bit, so I could see a little bit more of heavy machinery, then I'll start liking them a little bit more. What I didn't like was the New Day winning it again, but then again, I was like, it was either that or Daniel Bryan and Rowan winning it. It was like, it's like, again, we don't need the New Day winning another tag team title, but it was like, why? Maybe if Heavy Machinery gets another shot at SummerSlam and they win it in Toronto, then it'll make up for it. It'll make up for it, but I doubt it because I think Daniel Bryan's probably going to ask for a rematch. Next up, we had the WWE Champion Kofi Kingston versus Samoa Joe. This match was very boring. This match was awful. I don't blame neither Kofi nor Samoa Joe. This match was just downright awful. It's just like Kofi has been so well booked since being WWE champion. He's just not as exciting. He still throws pancakes. He's like, why can't he come out with SOS when he's solo? And like when he's with the New Day, he can play the New Day song and throw pancakes. But when you're a champion and you're by yourself, play that old music and do the old entrance. And the match with Samoa Joe was just another case of him not being an exactly exciting champion. And of course, I obviously don't expect like flips and all that stuff, like high spots, because unlike certain fans, I don't mostly mark out for every Young Bucks spot. It's just this match still felt very boring. There were a lot of like rest hold moments, and not only that, it was just like with Fight for the Fallen, the crowd was clearly out of it by the third hour. But Samoa Joe almost got to win the Coquina clutch, but Kofi escaped it, and he was about to go for it again, but Kofi hit the Trouble in Paradise out of nowhere to retain the WWE title. So Samoa Joe proved once again that he can talk the talk, but he can't walk the walk in big matches. Then we had our main event, not Brock Lesnar. He wasn't at the show, right? Right? Well, we'll see. We had Universal Champion Seth Rollins and Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch versus Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans in this mouthful of a match. A winner-take-all, last chance, Extreme Rules mixed tag team match. Man, that had to have been a mouthful, not just for me, but with Mike Rome that night. But anyway, this match was, again, very predictable, very boring. And another problem is how no DQ tag team matches still require to tag in your partner. It's so stupid. It's so freaking stupid. Although the match was pretty boring and predictable, Lacey Evans was still kind of able to hide her deficiencies, but not that much. And for some odd reason, the cameraman zoomed in on Lacey Evans' ass like how Velvet Sky and Angelina Love of the Beautiful People back in TNA. I was like, why? It's like, is this an indication that we are moving away from TV PG? It's like, okay. It's like, I like them booty, but I like them ass, but It's like, think of the kids. I'm just kidding. Nah, don't think of the kids. But I'm just kidding. Alright, so I guess the point of this match was to prove that Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch are really a couple, because they did some spots where they did that. Like, at the beginning of the match, they did, like, stereo kendo stick shots to Corbin and Lacey Evans. Then we had a table spot where Lynch did a leg drop and Rollins did a frog splash. But that was just the beginning of it, because they were trying to make Corbin a relevant heel, and then hit End of Days on Becky Lynch. Wow, what a way to make yourself relevant, Mr. Corbin. Wrong, not. And then Lynch sold that very well. So I'll give WWE brownie points for allowing Baron Corbin to do that. So that pissed off Seth Rollins like a lot, and he just went full Jon Moxley. He went full like Dean Ambrose. He got very pissed off. He broke the kendo stick on Corbin. He broke a chair on Corbin. Then he hit 3 curb stomps, because he was so pissed off, and he got the win for him and Becky Lynch. And all was right in the world, right? The feud is finally over. The blood feud's finally over. And then, the one and only Brock Lesnar comes out to cash in Money in the Bank. But first, he takes Seth Rollins to Suplex City, to Borplex City. That's what more like it. To Borplex City. Then, when the bell rings, he hits him with the shit 5. Then, Brock Lesnar is once again the Universal Champion. I don't think WWE will ever get it, will they? They won't ever get it, because we're back at square one. Because I don't think they ever want a full-timer being a world champion. They just want to have a part-timer in Lesnar, just because he draws, be like world champion, even though he's not there for like half of the year. And yet we bitch and moan. And when I say we, I mean Vince. He bitches and moans on why the ratings are down, why people shit on the product, because you put the belt on a part-timer, which is not more than one of the reasons on why you suck right now. It's not only that, you can't seem to grasp on how to develop the guys and gals in the back that actually work their ass off week after week, month after month, year after year, that are actually there backstage, doing everything they can to be relevant, to make themselves notable to the crowds. And yet, like with a guy like Seth Rollins, who had accomplished all their dreams at WrestleMania, despite controversy, you have it stripped away. You have Rollins' dreams, hopes of being a world champion, representing the company, stripped away from fuck Lesnar. This has been WWE's problem for years. And who knows? Maybe WWE will make Brock Lesnar the longest reigning world champion in their company. Oh my god. They might as well just do that, because they rely on Brock Lesnar so much. They love to suck Brock Lesnar's dick so much. They love to suck dick to part-timers so much, and they don't care to their full-timers, that they might as well just make Brock Lesnar the longest reigning world champion overall, WWE World Heavyweight, like Universal, doesn't matter. They're probably just gonna make Brock Lesnar the longest reigning Universal World WWE, the overall longest reigning world champion in history, like wrestling wise.
Yeah, just go ahead and beat that freaking record set by Bruno Sammartino. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Ugh. No wonder why wrestlers are so damn unhappy. They're trying to find any way to leave, and they're all jumping ship to places like All Elite Wrestling. You want to stop the ratings from tanking, Vince? Stop relying on part-timers and start developing all your guys that are actually showing up every single week. Because sooner or later, no matter how much money you have, the downfall is going to catch up to you eventually, and fast. So let's talk about Monday Night Raw, because we spent like literally almost an hour talking about AEW and Extreme Rules. First up, we got Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman in the opener, because obviously they have stuff to address, and I think this was the first official like night for Paul Heyman being the executive director, and he mentioned that like implicitly during this promo. But first, he talked about how he did not stutter when Brock Lesnar was going to cash in the Money in the Bank contract at Extreme Rules. But in my opinion, I think he should have done it on Kofi Kingston, because again, isn't WWE moving to Fox in October? But that's just a side note. And then he decided that since there were no more automatic rematches, he made a 10-man All-Star Battle Royale to determine who gets to be Brock Lesnar's bitch at SummerSlam. And the participants were, I don't get them at all, were Big E, Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Cesaro, Braun Strowman. Again, most of them did not make any sense at all, because guys like Corbin, Zayn, Lashley, Mysterio, Cesaro, they've been losing recently, especially Mysterio, who got squashed by freaking Bobby Lashley the previous week on Raw, and Lashley, Corbin, and Cesaro, they all lost at Extreme Rules. And I know, wait, didn't Corbin like lose a last chance match? Oh wait, no, wait, I guess that's only for when Rollins was champion, so I guess he gets another chance, but it still doesn't make sense. But the only participants that did make sense was Big E and Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. That was it. But other than those guys, it didn't make any sense, because there are also guys like Randy Orton, who hasn't shown up in TV for like a month, or like for at least TV months. He only showed up at Stupid Slowdown to face Triple H, but that was pretty much it. Then we had, like, in the opening match, we had the Usos and Ricochet going up against the Revival and Robert Roode in a 2 out of 3 falls match, which the 2 out of 3 falls match seriously need to stop. It's pretty boring, and the falls become pretty predictable. And like when we get to the third fall, we know it's gonna happen after the commercial break, because Vince McMahon just doesn't want to have wrestling during the break. And we all know what happens during those commercial breaks, right? There's like these random jobbers talking, like trying to plug something, or like trying to get the crowd hyped when they don't really, because they don't care about those wrestlers. Or it's like either that, or one of the interviewers backstage like talking to fans about doing trivia questions. And I'm surprised they're still doing it, because wasn't there this one segment like during those like little commercial breaks where someone said CM Punk as best in the world? I thought they would have stopped that by now. But I guess not. It's like, it just feels inexcusable that they're not having wrestling during the break. Can't they just do like a split screen, like kind of commercial break, like where you get the action like on one screen and then a commercial during the on the other? It doesn't make any sense. They're literally trying to make it like an NFL or an NBA game when it's freaking wrestling. So I don't know. But Other than that, it's like this match was pretty boring. It was like a brawl happened afterwards with the Bullet Club, the Ricochet, the Usos, and Revival, and blah blah blah. It's like AJ Styles was the last man standing, but then later in the night when the Bullet Club was having their 6-man tag team match with the Lucha House Party, Ricochet came out to attack AJ Styles, but the match was restarted anyway, and the club won regardless. So I just didn't care for that. Then we had Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. I mean, there's a couple other things that happened before that, but I didn't care. Like with this match, I didn't care because the only thing I did care for was the return of the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Duh. I really liked how this was executed. I didn't like specifically how Bray Wyatt is targeting Finn Balor though, but maybe he's targeting Finn Balor for a reason so he can return as the demon, like do what they were supposed to do like a couple of years ago, where it's supposed to be Bray versus the Demon, but I think Bray got sick, so it turned out being AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Balor's the Demon. So I guess they're going with the Fiend, Bray Wyatt's new Fiend gimmick versus Finn Balor's Demon, but at SummerSlam. So pretty much how this happened was like Balor was celebrating, fending off Joe after he lost to Joe when he didn't need another loss. And then there were a lot of like all the stage equipment, like all the the LED stuff went out. And then there are a lot of creepy noises and sounds, and there are like a lot of seizure-inducing lights that started to like go around. And Bray Wyatt was there attacking Finn Balor in the dark. Then he was holding Finn Balor, setting up that he was already set up for Sister Abigail. And then after staring at the crowd, who has this like Bray Wyatt has this like new like mask or something. He hit Sister Abigail. And this was like golden. Like this was really good. As long as WWE executes this right with Bray Wyatt, he can finally be the threat that he always wanted to be. Then we had we had first a enhancement match with Zack Ryder going up against Mike Kanellis. I don't know why they're still doing Maria's pregnancy with the storyline and stuff, but Maria wanted to wrestle a match, but she was pregnant, and Mike didn't allow it, so Mike wrestled, and he lost very quickly. And I'm just wondering, who did Mike Kanellis piss off so badly that he's just getting squashed? He's just getting squashed so much. Next up, we had the Raw Women's Championship number 1 contenders fatal 4-way elimination match, which involved Alexa Bliss, Natalya, Naomi, and Carmella. Now, there was a lot of talk about what happened afterwards because Alexa Bliss was on Twitter and tweeted, "Just disrespectful," and a lot of people read between the lines of her like attacking the crowd from this week's Raw, which was held in Long Island, New York. So I watched it, and they were chanting, "Boring, you suck, this is awful," and they even did like near the end of the match dueling Cena chants. And to be honest, the match deserved it. It was very boring. It's like all they did was freaking rest holds throughout 2/3 of the match. It was like so long for women's wrestlers that WWE doesn't give a shit about. I don't blame like any of them. I don't blame Bliss. I don't blame Natalya. I don't blame Naomi, and I don't blame Carmella for part of it being an awful match, but it's like WWE doesn't give a shit about the rest of the women's division aside from Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, who's still AWOL, Bayley, and Ronda Rousey. They just don't give a shit about the rest of the women's division. But then again, Alexa Bliss cannot go out there and just tweet just disrespectful when you need to do something about it. Make people respect you. Earn it. It's like, even though you're a heel, make people respect you as a heel. Both as a heel and as a person. But the match itself, yeah, it was pretty awful. So the crowd was absolutely correct to chant, "You suck. You suck." And then Nikki got so picked. Nikki Cross, who's still aligned with Alexa, surprisingly, she tried to get the crowd to cheer for Alexa, but that made them mad even more. So it's like, what the hell is WWE trying to do here? What is Paul Heyman trying to do with this? It's like, you're pissing everybody off. So that match was a dumpster fire. Like, especially after Carmella got eliminated, because Alexa Bliss was just like playing predator, like playing vulture for like most of the match, and all she was doing was doing rest holds. For that was pretty much her entire offense, rest holds. And then Corey Graves I just want to like end this little rant about the crowd. Corey Graves mentioned how the crowd turned on the match, but then he got interrupted because Natalya was getting the win. So Natalya got the win. She made Alexa Bliss tap out, and then she's the number one contender for Becky Lynch at SummerSlam. So she got interviewed. She had this little speech about how she was excited to return to her home country. Like, even though Natalya's from Calgary, Alberta, SummerSlam's in Toronto, but it's still in Canada regardless. She's gonna get like a welcome in Canada. She's excited to face her friend Becky, but Becky said that she would not be meeting her friend at SummerSlam, but she's just gonna be just another person. And Becky asked for her to step up, or she's gonna wipe the floor with her in Canada. So Becky closed it off by saying, like her portion at least, that she does better in more than in love. Then Natalya responded by, "Well, you must not be you." Oh shit! She responded to Becky by saying, and I quote, "Well, you must not be a good lover then, bitch." Yeah, that's what she said. And then she promised to kick the orange hair shit out of her. That's not what she actually said, but that's something like that. And the battle lines are officially drawn, ladies and gentlemen. Natalya versus Becky Lynch at SummerSlam is on. But I don't expect anything special unless they surprise me. But if Paul Heyman writes some good material for Natalya, it was clear that Natalya's lines following the bitch line was written by Paul Heyman. And if she can do similar performance mic performances like that, because it's well known that Natalya is a little deficient on the mic, and she's gonna get outclassed by Becky Lynch, promo wise. I think this will be a good match to get hyped, a little bit hyped for. And not only is this match a little bit interesting, wrestling wise, but it could also set up major storyline potential with the return of Ronda Rousey, because there's still a lot of unfinished business between Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. So who knows? Then we had R-Truth and Drake Maverick with another 24/7 title segment. And I think this was one of the most strangest segments yet between the two. So throughout the night, Drake Maverick was trying to consummate the marriage between him and his wife. In other words, if you don't know what consummating the marriage means, It means you're gonna get the bang on. You're gonna get the. You're about to fuck. Yeah, in layman's terms, you're about to fuck. For the first time ever. But Drake was concerned about his 24/7 title as usual. And one of the most unusual shots that I will ever see, and I'm also able to unsee, Drake Maverick was wearing nothing but the 24/7 title. Although we later found out he was just wearing like tighty whities under the belt. So he had all these roses on the bed and he was ready to fuck his wife, but she got some room service first. She got some champagne or whatever. The host didn't leave for some odd reason, but then it was revealed that he was a referee, and that caused Drake to be paranoid, and he just started searching the room for R-Truth. But R-Truth was under the thing carrying the champagne, which started a match, like a 24/7 match, like an unsanctioned 24/7 match. So R-Truth tried to roll up Drake Maverick, which got a 2 count, but then he finally got the pin on Drake Maverick to reclaim the 24/7 title on a naked Drake Maverick, on an almost naked Drake Maverick. But it's just one of the strangest segments I've ever seen, like in a wrestling segments ever. And Drake Maverick unfortunately didn't get to do this. Anyway, enough of that. Then in the main event segment, we got the Universal Championship #1 contenders match, Battle Royale. Brock Lesnar came out on stage to watch to see who his opponents were going to be for SummerSlam. The Battle Royale itself was okay. But again, most of the participants didn't make sense because they either lost or haven't been on TV for a while. The Final Four, because I didn't care. I didn't give 2 shits about the remaining 6. The Final Four went down to Baron Corbin, Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman, and Roman Reigns. Of course, everyone cornered Baron Corbin because of their history with them. So Rollins, Strowman, and Reigns triple teamed Corbin and sent him packing. Hopefully, that means it's the end of his his Universal title pursuit. Seriously, he doesn't need to anymore. But anyway, we got Seth, Braun, and Roman now, and Braun completely overpowered them. And then when Braun tried to hit a power slam on Roman Reigns, Roman got out of it, tried to hit a spear on Strowman, but he hit Seth Rollins instead. Roman Reigns was shook, which allowed Braun Strowman to at least attempt to eliminate Roman Reigns while he was shook. But even that was not enough because both men were trying to eliminate one another, but Rollins managed to eliminate both of them somehow. We thought the match was over, right? Nah. Randy Orton suddenly was not eliminated yet. I didn't even catch when he was not eliminated, when he went under the rope or through the second rope. But he wasn't eliminated regardless, and he hit a hanging DDT on Rollins. He took so much time to showboat. He was trying to play up to the crowd, baby. And then he tried to hit an RKO on Rollins, but he took so much time to showboat that Rollins was able to recover, and he hit the curb stomp and eliminated Orton. So we're getting a WrestleMania rematch at SummerSlam between Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman congratulated Seth Rollins by doing the usual the thing the announcers do at the after the match, saying, "Here's your winner," yada yada yada. So Paul Heyman did that kind of thing, except he said this. In short, "Here's your winner," and "Here is your winner," and Brock's bitch at SummerSlam, Seth Rollins. So pretty much that's how it was. It's short, but Seth Rollins told Paul Heyman to come back, and he said he would get through anyone and anything to get his hands on Lesnar. He also proclaimed that by the end of SummerSlam, he'll be the reigning, defending, undisputed Universal Champion. And then that was that. But then Brock Lesnar, like at the very end of the show, before they cut off the air, he went with this steel chair that he was sitting on and like tried to fight Rollins, but he just like pussied out. He just threw it. And that was the end of Raw. Overall, Raw was a pretty show. It's pretty much the show it's been for like months now. And the only notable thing was it's pretty much the crowd reaction during the women's championship or the women's number one contenders match, and that was it. Now to wrap it up, let's talk about SmackDown a little bit. We had the town hall meeting to open the show. Pretty much the town hall meetings like giving the wrestlers a chance to talk about Shane McMahon and how he's been doing on SmackDown. But first, we had a little like segment with Kevin Owens being banned from the town hall opening segment. Shane McMahon told him like he had the night off, so because he didn't want any lies being spread by Owens during the town hall meeting. And yeah, Kevin Owens got the night off. So Roman Reigns kicked off the forum by saying nobody respects Shane and he can kiss his ass. And surprisingly, that was the last of Roman Reigns for the night. And yeah, that's it. Shane said he would find Roman Reigns later. And then Charlotte later went and she would pretty much suck Shane's dick by thanking the McMahon family, which led to Liv Morgan interrupting by asking Charlotte to stop being a phony and question whether or not she has done anything real. Then Charlotte just proceeded to interrupt her by making her return to irrelevancy by asking who she was. And yeah, Liv, go back to catering. Buddy Murphy went next, saying Kevin Owens should shut his mouth or he'll slap the taste out of his mouth. And then Apollo Crews went next, and then he said that everyone agrees with what Kevin Owens said, which is false because Charlotte Flair just debunked that. Zelina Vega also disagreed with Apollo Crews because he was just being a kiss up, and Vega and Andrade challenged him to a match later in the night, which I didn't care for, so that's one less segment to worry about. Elias came out to air his grievances through a song, but the New Day interrupted him by calling him the greatest jackass in SmackDown history. And Kofi said despite their differences, Owens made some valid points, and Kofi said that Shane was not giving him anyone opportunities before being cut off by Shane. So that was pretty much the end of the forum. I thought it was pretty pointless. It didn't get anything done, like for the wrestlers at least. But before the segment concluded, Kevin Owens gave Shane like a really botched stunner. Shane like did not prepare for it at all. He pretty much botched it, and it was pretty crap. We had Cesaro versus Aleister Black in an Extreme Rules rematch from the pay-per-view. By the way, that match at Extreme Rules was pretty cool. Aleister Black, I think he needs to get more opportunities on SmackDown. I just don't know who he's gonna feud with first. Let's talk about the rematch first, actually. So they had the rematch, and which was shorter than the one they had at Extreme Rules, and not as good, but it was still a pretty good match. So Aleister Black got his win with the Black Mass kick, and he even knocked out Cesaro's mouthpiece out. But I think that's pretty much the end of their feud. So I don't know what Aleister Black's going to do from there. Then we had Charlotte versus Liv Morgan, which was pretty much just a throwaway match because I didn't care for it. And I don't know why Liv Morgan's still using the Riot Squad music when that's technically Ruby Riot's music in the first place. But that just shows how irrelevant she is. So Liv Morgan lost. She tapped out the Charlotte's figure 8. She said she'll be back more real than ever because she heard Corey Graves like talking smack. So next up, we had Ember Moon and a mystery partner going up against Fire and Desire of Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. So I didn't care for this match either because even with a mystery partner, Ember Moon has been irrelevant like since coming to the main roster because WWE doesn't know what to do with the rest of its women's division again outside of its big five. So pretty much Ember Moon's mystery partner turned out to be Bayley, which is again disappointing. So they won pretty quickly, but after the match they got interviewed. Bayley wants someone worthy now that her feud with Alexa Bliss is done with, so she pretty much confirmed that like her feud's done with Alexa Bliss, and she wanted someone worthy of challenging her at SummerSlam, and she looked at Ember Moon. And it was one of the most awkward ways to set up a match at SummerSlam. She just like slowly turned her head at Ember Moon, and like Ember Moon accepted, and they celebrated all happy. Yay! We're gonna have a friendly wrestling match, and now they have a title match at SummerSlam. And then we got new Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura being interviewed, how he's gonna reign chaos and all that stuff. And then he got interrupted by Mustafa Ali, who just simply congratulated him. So I guess they're gonna feud now. That's cool. Then they were gonna have Daniel Bryan's career-altering announcement, following that interview, but they never did it because the New Day celebrated holding all the gold on SmackDown, and they pretty much spoiled whatever Daniel Bryan's announcement was, which was a rematch with Big E and Xavier Woods for the SmackDown tag team titles. And pretty much a lot of time was wasted moving forward from there because Daniel Bryan just spent a lot of time debating with himself on whether or not to speak, and it took him like a better part of like 5 minutes to just simply walk away. So Samoa Joe eventually came out wanting another title shot against Kofi Kingston, but then Elias and Randy Orton came out saying maybe they want a title shot, and Samoa Joe lost already. So they were arguing, or they were giving their claims on why they should fight Kofi Kingston for the WWE title, but then Xavier Woods and Big E were like, there are 3 guys out there. Why don't we make a 6-man tag team match, playa? Let's be like Teddy Long, playa. Why don't we go 3-on-3 with these guys, playa? So they made a 6-man tag team match. Randy Orton didn't want to be a part of it, but he got persuaded by Kofi because he said that the Viper has gone a little limp, and that pissed him off. So we got the New Day versus Randy Orton and Elias and Samoa Joe. I didn't care for it too much because Randy Orton got the win for his team, and he hit the Trouble in Paradise on Elias, but he just left himself prone to an RKO. So maybe we're getting Randy Orton versus Kofi Kingston at SummerSlam, and if you recall, that could be a very intense feud because they can play it back. They can take shots at one another to when Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston had that botch in their Raw, their match from Raw back in 2010 when Kofi Kingston mistimed the RKO, the timing of when he was supposed to take the RKO, and Randy Orton yelled "stupid, stupid, stupid," and he just couldn't get over it. So maybe they can play off of that and some other personal intensity. So that should be nice to watch out for. And then we had one of the most stupidest moments of the night, and perhaps one of the dumbest things I've ever seen as a wrestling fan. The women's tag team champions, the Moronics, also known as the Iconics, but I like to refer to them as the Moronics, Gaiden Royce and Shilly Gay versus Asuka and Kairi Sane. I refuse to acknowledge their tag team name because it's very stupid. And they never should have been a tag team in the first place. Io Shirai should have stayed with Kairi Sane on the main roster. But, I mean, she's doing fine as a heel on NXT. So, neither team got a aired entrance, which shows you how the state of the women's tag team division is. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And it gets better from there. It gets better. It just gets so much better. It's so much better. So, Asuka's team is dominating Billie Kay. She kicks her out of the ring, but it's like Billie Kay recovers, and then like Asuka is temporarily like trying to like down, but then like once Billie Kay and Asuka recover, it's like Billie Kay intentionally gets herself counted out, but then it's like Asuka, who was fully recovered by the seventh count or the 6th or 7th count, didn't think to go and grab Billie Kay from like outside. She's like, it's so stupid. Like, who thought of this? Who wrote this? It makes her look so stupid. You don't believe me? Like, go watch it on WWE's YouTube channel. Go look up Asuka Kairi Sane versus the Moronics or the Iconics, whatever. I don't even want to talk about what happened afterwards because it was just so stupid. Like, what happened? I know it's gonna like set up a rematch at SummerSlam, but it just makes Asuka look very stupid. I know they're gonna have this like big coronation and all like once they finally beat the Moronics, but again, it makes Asuka look very stupid by not bringing Billie Kay back in the ring when Asuka was fully recovered. Might I add you? It still makes her look very stupid. But again, this pure stupidity just shows WWE just wants to make the Moronics the Brock Lesnar of the women's division. Literally, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce have been the Brock Lesnar of the women's division since they won the titles at WrestleMania. No wonder why Sasha Banks has not returned since then. No matter what her feeling is right now, she's not back yet. Thanks to the Moronics. Thanks to Vince McMahon loving the Moronics, even though they're cringy as hell. So, this is pure stupidity. It's like, WWE, like, seriously needs to deactivate the women's tag team titles if they don't give a shit about them so much. Like, right now. There's no depth. There's nobody caring about the titles. Like, especially after Sasha Banks and Bayley lost them and gave it to the Moronics. It's like, nobody cares. Nobody freaking cares. So it's just like, deactivate it. It's like, deactivate the titles. Like, and if you do, it's like, nobody will even care if they were gone. So we had our main event segment in Dolph Ziggler and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens already left the building when Dolph Ziggler, like, after the first segment, but Ziggler managed to convince Shane to make like a match between the two, but only if Ziggler could manage to get Owens back in the building. And then we saw, like, during the middle of the show, Ziggler gave a referee Owens' phone number. The match didn't last less than 20 seconds. That's something, like it did at Extreme Rules, but I didn't care for it because it is just boring. But at the end of the match, Shane McMahon came up with a bunch of heels to keep Kevin Owens from leaving. And then Kevin Owens tried to beat Ziggler again with the stunner, but Shane pulled them out. But he also got another stunner for his troubles, and Kevin Owens just ran away quickly when he could have just stunned everybody else. He's just going to have been like, you get a stunner! You get a stunner! You all get a stunner! He could have just stood tall against everybody, but nah, he just decided to run away. But then again, it's been too reminiscent of Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, I just want to end off the stream with some small tidbits. Like we already know Paul Heyman's doing his thing, and I guess you just want like some notes from according to NoDQ.com that Paul Heyman wants like promos to be more real, I guess, and like Paul Heyman, like some changes Paul Heyman wants for the show include like promos being real and injury angles, like injury angles to be more taken seriously. So we haven't had one of those yet. Oh yeah, and backstage interviews to be like less fake, be more realistic. Heyman wants like wins and losses to matter more, unlike what they are now. And then he wants injuries angles to be taken more seriously. In regards to Eric Bischoff, that his is a little bit of a different story. Let's see. So, according to NoDQ, Eric Bischoff wasn't in attendance for RAW and Smackdown, but he started. They said his job at WWE started on Wednesday. You can hear my doorbell, I guess. But they noted that Bischoff right now is like he'll most likely not be involved with the creative process, and his job will just be to interface with all the departments in the company, as well as with Fox. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I guess he's not going to be part of like pitching like new ideas, which is kind of unfortunate. But hopefully that report or rumor's not true, because I want to at least see some change with Eric Bischoff on SmackDown, because what's happening right now with the wild card rule, it's affecting SmackDown so much. Then to end things off, before I get my final thoughts on Extreme Rules, Fight for the Fallen, SmackDown, and Raw, according to I don't usually like Dave Meltzer's bullshit, but it was just something notable because SmackDown on Fox is moving on October 4th, but we already, like, for all of you baseball fans and football fans out there, it's October is a pretty busy month. You have Thursday night football, and you have like MLB playoffs during that season, the MLB postseason. So according to Dave Meltzer of all people, his usual BS, when SmackDown moves to Fox on October 4th, according to him, SmackDown will be airing 51 weeks a year on Fox. The show will be preempted for the World Series, so he said that it's possible the show could move to FS1 for that 1 week. What does he mean by that 1 week? Does the week that they debut, or for the week that the World Series airs? I think he means when the World Series airs. So I guess for 1 week, when the World Series has like a Friday game, I don't think it'll matter that much. It's just 1 week. And then he said a 1 hour launch show is being scheduled for late September to introduce casual Fox viewers to the product, which always helps. There's talk about putting NXT on Fox Sports, which would possibly lead to NXT going head-to-head with AEW on Wednesday nights. I don't think that's going to happen because it might significantly affect the WWE Network. The rumored talk show with Renee Young, Meltzer said it's not a done deal yet, but it's pretty much a done deal. And there's various methods that will likely be used to promote the Fox debut, include wrestlers driving a moving truck. I don't think it's that true. And then several big surprises are being talked about for the debut of Fox. Does this mean Joe Buck? Does that mean Joe Buck being the play-by-play announcer for one night? I don't think Joe Buck would want to do WWE because he's so busy with the MLB and the NFL. Maybe during the off season. I don't know. But overall, in regards to Extreme Rules, between Extreme Rules and Fight for the Fallen, I thought Extreme Rules was the better pay-per-view, because I think Fight for the Fallen was just mostly a charity house show. and the show length was just too long like both shows were too long, but I think WWE just gave like a slightly better show than AEW did that weekend. And even with Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff at the helm, I'm not seeing any optimism right now. It's pretty sad to say the least. Because again, Vince McMahon is still has the final say. He still calls the shot. It's still his company, and the freedom that the two have, right, like especially Paul Heyman, it's probably limited. I'll give you that. If these shows this week were any indication, the freedom that those two have, are, like in regards to creatively, it's probably like limited. So hopefully Vince McMahon gets his head out of his ass and gives them more power. One like interesting tidbit I want to like finally end off on is the rumored full card for SummerSlam according to No DQ. We already know Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins is happening. Becky Lynch versus Natalya is happening. Bayley versus Ember Moon is happening. Some of the rumored matches for SummerSlam include, according to NoDQ.com, include Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton, AJ Styles versus Ricochet again, another rematch, Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon, Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor, The Undertaker versus Drew McIntyre, and Aleister Black versus Cesaro. I don't know how to believe that, but the most notable name missing from the card is Roman Reigns. I know he's in that new Hobbs and Shaw movie, but I don't think he would be missing SummerSlam just to promote that movie, because I don't know how big of a role he's playing in that movie. So to be honest, I don't know. I honestly don't know like how big of a role he has in that movie that makes him miss SummerSlam. Because unless he's cousin to The Rock, so maybe he's going on like media tours with him or something. But I highly doubt that this rumor from No DQ is like true, because Roman Reigns is missing. Charlotte is missing, even though she hasn't been on like a pay-per-view for like 2 months now. She just came back on TV, but she hasn't been doing anything. But I highly doubt anything like beyond at least the WWE title match, and like the WWE title match, the Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor match, the Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon match, and the Intercontinental title match, and pretty much any match. There's the only two, like, I don't believe Undertaker versus Drew McIntyre is happening. I don't believe Aleister Black versus Cesaro is happening. I don't know if the women's tag team title match is happening. It's like, I can't believe, I have a hard time believing in this. It's like, it's very hard. It's very hard, especially when Roman Reigns is not on the card, which is very surprising. But that's that. All right, everyone, that's gonna do it for this episode, this live stream of Dylan Lasagna Live. Thank you all for joining me for this episode. I don't know what's in store for next week, but just stay tuned. But thank you all for joining me so much. Don't forget to hit like, dislike the video, leave a comment, and tap the bell so you can be notified of every one of my videos, every one of my streams, and every one of my like shit posts on the community tab of my channel. But yeah, this pretty much wraps it up for Dylan Lasagna Live, episode number 11. And wow, 11 episodes. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. Always be delicious, and I'll see you all next time. And I'm out.